It's news time. Information is power. Be current. The news headline. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo used armor tankers and hot water trucks on protesters. Aisha, Nigerian socio-political activist and co-convener of Bring Back Our Girls movement, Aisha Yusuf, has reacted to the news that a group endorsing the vice president for the 2023 presidency has said that the NSAS uprising wouldn't have seen the light of days if Vice President Yemi Osinbajo handling of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS was not derailed. According to the cable, the group known as Identify the Rights Leader recently published a 120 impact page assessment report on the vice president, detailing his activities as former acting president of Nigeria and also former Attorney General of Lagos State. According to the report, the NSAS protest, which swept through the nation in October 2020, would not have happened if Osinbajo's plan to overhaul SARS did not die down when President Muhammadu Buhari returned to the country. However, Nigerian socio-political activist and co-convener of Bring Back Our Girls movement, Aisha Yusuf, has decided to reply the group through a verified Twitter page for making such a bold claim. According to Aisha Yusuf, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is not a saint because he started the attack on civic spaces when he was acting president of the country. He continued by stating that the vice president used armored tankers and hot water trucks on protesters while he was acting president of the country. And these were the words of Aisha Yusuf about Vice President Osinbajo, which the supporters group actually wanted to paint as a savior, and somebody who has a whole lot of impact, especially in the bid to resolve the NSAS issue, of which Aisha Yusuf has said that was not the case, that the vice president was actually one of the influencers of the humiliations brought about on the youth about the NSAS case.
While making a case for the Biafra agitator, said that if the federal government could grant amnesty to repentant Boko Haram terrorists and the Niger Delta militants, there is nothing stopping it from considering the case of Nnamdi Kanu and also that of Sunday Vøwêd. Speaking on Thursday during an interview on Channels Television, Obiozor argued that the Igbo people are not at war with the rest of Nigerians, urging that President Muhammadu Buhari needs to reconsider his stand not to release the detained IPOB leader. He said that Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently facing charges bordering on treasonable felony and terrorism, deserves to be given another chance and forgiven, as force is a dangerous option for everyone at this particular period in time. And that is one of the reasons why the former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, that is Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, had actually spoken to defend President Muhammadu Buhari in this case, saying that he is actually doing his very best, and that those people that are criticizing, most of his regime are people that have always found pleasure in being toxic about the federal government of Nigeria.
Muhammadu Buhari was seen as the nemesis of corrupt politicians, and that image, which could not help him during previous electoral attempts, was capitalized on by the Southwest media to burnish and garnish a political reputation against an admittedly helplessly godless and hapless leadership of Goodluck Jonathan. But history is a mercilessly ruthless judge. While previously clueless and corrupt, Jonathan has become a beautiful bride of international diplomacy and democratic behavior. The anti-corruption warrior is now mired in a government that, by its own reckoning, has become the most inept and corrupt in our history. To be fair, the president did not promise much in the electioneering campaigns in both elections. Throughout the campaigns, his mantra, repeated like a broken record, was fighting corruption, insurgency, and improving the economy. His performance on all three counts is suspect, dubious, and undistinguished. Most people would even declare him a failure. By its own admission, even the government does not point to any of them as its main achievement, which is curious. To it, their greatest achievement is building infrastructure, which was a kind of an afterthought as it never featured in his 2015 election campaigns. The curiosity is, how could one major in a subject on which he was not tested in an examination? On his greatest failure, agreement will be as difficult to reach. Insecurity has become a major menace in the country, and no part of his nation is spared. But because that is not his greatest failure, nor is the crumbling economy, which he was never given a chance in the first place. It has never been this bad since the war, and although President Muhammadu Buhari was elected to deal with the problem of insurgency in the northeast, his regime was added the nefarious activities of herdsmen and armed bandits, who have not only made life brutally short and unbearable for most rural communities, especially farmers who have abandoned their farms, which has led to the threat of food scarcity and hunger in the country. The Nigerians are paying such humongous price on account of corruption in the public service in a government that promised to stamp it out is a monumental indictment of President Muhammadu Buhari and his legitimacy for the office. The paradox is that for every extra kobo that goes into fictitious projects and salaries, there is a corresponding denial of public-oriented spending to improve people's lives. Also, such increase in recurrent spending is directly responsible for the unending borrowing by this government to fund its acclaimed infrastructure development in a situation that mortgages the future of the country and the next generation. Consequently, the reason we are borrowing is not entirely because there is no money, as government has consistently maintained, but because its employees are siphoning the money into their private pockets at the expense of the generality of Nigerians. The obvious implication of this development is that the current anti-corruption strategy is defective and inappropriate, thinking that the main culprits in corruption are the political office holders. This view featured heavily in Buhari's approach in dealing with members of the Second Republic political class. But it is simply untenable because the political class does not have accounting powers, which belongs to the career civil servants. So it is financially impossible for the politicians to steal money from government coffers without the active involvement and collusion of the bureaucrats themselves. Also, for a minister or commissioner to steal a dime, the bureaucrat must be involved. Entire budgets of the country through the manners of expenditure. They also prepare the budget. Therefore, we have to revise and change the approach and train searchlights more on the public servants to actually get to the root of the matter. And also, focusing on the few political office holders is a way